This week's Appendix of Bonfireside Chat is brought to you by Nick Bastille. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
What? He donated to our Patreon.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
And if you want to be like Nick, a hero, I will say, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and offer your support. Even as little as $1 a month helps. Check out the rewards. Consider doing it. And if you don't, you're still listening to us, and we love you still.
Nick me with your best shot.
Oh, in addition, this is also brought to you by The Level. That is Duckfeed.tv/The Level. It is a podcast about modern video games that I do with some friends.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat Appendix. It is a cursed undead second favorite.
You know, I think that we got a little bit screwed by Kingsfield also doing the curse thing.
I guess that's true.
We can't say, like, oh, it is the depraved favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is.
Yeah,
There's some weird fetishists out there.
Yeah.
Lower implications.
You got hedonism bot up there.
Yeah. Just, where's the Emerald Herald coming to us? Tied in. Where's the Chandler?
Oh, sweet, sweet, of course, so sweet.
Yeah. You're a sweet, sweet shelter. Let's stop talking about masturbating to video games, which is generally a thing that I'm against. I can say this, Cole, and you don't have to answer me if it's not true.
Okay.
And your silence may or may not speak volumes. You're not going to answer this. I don't even know why I'm going to say it. That wasn't the question. I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say it because I think it's a funny question to ask. But your silence will not speak volumes. I can say that I have never been aroused by a video game.
Not been aroused. I've sought out, like in my younger times, like when Dead or Alive 2 came out on the Dreamcast, and it had the secret thing that like make the boobs jigglier.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, huh, I'm adolescent, and that interests me, but I don't know if it did anything. Like I remember seeking it out specifically for its prurient kind of interest, right? Like, I think I had my brother check it out from Babbage's when he was working there. I was like, there's boobs, and then didn't do anything with it. So
I wonder if it's a generational thing. I might be just bragging about that, but really it's just like bragging about not finding Samus in a bikini attractive, because like I was just older by the time there was any kind of fidelity to it.
True. Like I will say that like this is going to make me sound like a real weirdo. Like Catherine, like made me think about sex in a different way, but that isn't not in a different way. Like you're just like like a video game with a take on sex. That's weird, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of like in the way that like just a very adult oriented film would be, not straight up like a porno film.
Yeah, well, you can feature sex without being pornographic.
Yeah.
Like I've never been like aroused by the image of a video game character.
You didn't like beat off furiously to Tifa.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally not.
Yeah. So I mean, just kind of like something can activate the erogenous kind of zones of my brain or whatever, and it's made me think, this is a weird topic for my mind to bring up in the middle of this thing that I don't normally associate with it. But it's not like I need to go find some deviant art of this chick right away.
Yeah, or that like it made your dick move.
Right, yeah.
Like, yeah, it wasn't like, whoa. Yeah.
Swing.
Audie. Lore.
I wish I could whistle because I had a sweet wolf whistle there.
Like I've been making, the very definition of insanity, beating my head up against Dragon Age again for one reason or another. And some of the sexualization of some of Morrigan is really weird to me. And she looks like a more modest, what was the name of the black mage in Final Fantasy X?
Oh, Lulu?
Yeah, Lulu.
Yeah.
That unfortunate bust.
Yeah. I mean, Morgan would be more problematic if she wasn't also kind of a cool character.
Yeah. No, she's fine. I just wish that she didn't show so much side boob.
Yeah. It's a little bit... I get the feeling that Dragon Age actually takes more from Game of Thrones than people realized until Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire got into people's consciousness.
Yeah,
I think that might be a thing.
Yeah,
having not consumed any media related to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Like, it's definitely that kind of low fantasy,
low cut fantasy.
Yeah, low cut fantasy. TV tropes, here we come. TV tropes for the win.
I felt so bad. It's like, oh, you ran for a site, don't you? And we're doing this. We're doing this bullshit. Oh man. But we have some errata and follow-up that ain't related to making your dick move. Why don't you get started with Ian?
Sure. Yeah. Ian says, via contact, regarding human effigies, when burned, they block all multiplayer activities, invasion and co-op, for around 30 minutes. This timer only seems to count down when you're actually in the area, so leaving and returning doesn't stop the effect. NPC summons aren't affected, so I assume NPC invasions aren't either. Sir Lobos the Mighty wouldn't have been able to burn his effigy if he was playing offline. You have to be online to do it, presumably to save you from wasting one for no reason.
That's kind of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been kinder to explain that, but it's kind of them to make it so you can't throw it down a bottomless ash pit.
It's still the worst use of a human effigy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's still so, non-NPC invasions are so rare, and that's a tired stump to be on. Mm-hmm. But it just doesn't happen, very often at all. Like, the only, kind of speaking of last episode, the only time that it almost seems useful, and you can't do it for that, would be to, try to get to the gargoyles without getting invaded.
Yeah.
Or try to pick up some items in Belfry Soul without having to fight 1,000 Grey Phantoms.
Yeah. But you can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah. So, Kiri says via the contact form, just wanted to say I missed the thesis statements you did for areas in Dark Souls. Did you forget about it, or do the areas in Dark Souls 2 not support them as well? Maybe a little bit of both. For me, it's forgetting. You writing this actually made me put one in the previous episode. I think we fell off of that in Demon's Souls because that game didn't support it as well, and so it stopped being a ritual for me. But very much could be the case that not everything in Dark Souls 2 needs a dorky, pithy statement.
And so many of them are the same or very similar to areas in Dark Souls 1, as far as if we wanted to boil them down to something. Yeah. Things that previously were this is the first time we're being exposed to this, are now just kind of Souls. But I think it's definitely got out of the habit with Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
At some point there'll be a production blog about what it was like editing the first season of the show versus the second, where Demon's Souls, where the game supported it a little bit less, and also the community, there wasn't as much dialogue to choose from and sound effects, and it was harder to get these kind of production assets for it. Mm-hmm. So
I would read that.
Yeah, we'll have to put that up somewhere. So we'll do them from time to time. Mm-hmm. But I don't even feel that bad. We've missed too many opportunities in this in this season. I don't feel like the areas we've covered so much really support themselves to it,
right?
Or lend themselves to it too much.
Yeah. But I thank you for saying you missed something.
Thank you.
It's always the thing. Where if you stop doing something and people say, "Oh, I like that,"
mm-hmm.
It's when you find out you like it. So the show's canceled until you all show that you love us more.
Yeah. Yes.
No.
Holding a hostage. Sean says via contact, one interesting thing to note about No Man's Wharf, or at least one thing that's interesting to me, is that the Viking enemies are specifically called Varangians. Varangians is what the medieval Greeks and Byzantines called the Vikings. More importantly, the Varangian Guard was a mercenary group founded by Emperor Bastille II in the 10th century AD that served as the emperor's personal bodyguard. Honestly, don't know how this information could connect to DS2 lore, or if it's just gee-whiz stuff, but I figured if anyone could draw a connection there, it's you guys.
This, I wrote back to him kind of gushing about it. This is one of my favorite pieces of mail we've gotten.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's, historical context. I think that maybe they pulled out a thesaurus and what else could we call Vikings that doesn't make this into Vikings?
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that might be the strongest that the lore gets, but also the fact that an emperor called his thing that, and these are people who were specifically put into service by King Bendrick to start hoarding people.
Yeah,
maybe possibly. It's weak. I mean, it's grasping at straws, but yay history. So
there's that weird thing where history is just referenced for no particular reason. Like in the last episode where we're talking about the Lost Bastille, like the Bastille is a thing.
Yeah.
It's not an English word.
No.
So yeah, I think it's that. I think they just wanted a cool name for a race and wanted to kind of connect a little bit, like the Melfia note we had a couple episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
Without being a reference to I think it's kind of a reference.
Huh, I thought that Bastille was actually just a generic word for fortress, but it's actually a proper name.
Yeah. Let me. Are you looking that up as well?
Yeah, I'm looking.
It's a specific fortress, and it's a French word.
Yeah.
So
it's from the Old French for bastida or bastire to build. So it's like an archaic form for building.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it sounds cool.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like there's certain things. I mean, French in general, I don't like the language that much, but just it's kind of like a laser guided cool word system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Taking stances about languages on a podcast.
Yeah, I don't like the language that much.
No, it's all. I'm going to go for German. I think
a lot of milk throat.
Yeah, German has more percussion to it. Like if you're going to have some milk throat with a lot of emphasis to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So Hugh says via contact, one of the most surprising things in Dark Souls 2 that I found was how important weapon damage types are. Strike, or blunt, will wreck a number of enemies like Old Knights, where other weapons fail. At what point I used a normal mace instead of a +6 S-stock because it did twice as much damage. Have you guys noticed this much?
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's the speed running. Like if you watch any speed runs, like the mace, like blunt weapons are king in Dark Souls 2, and the mace is the king of all weapons in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
It is the greatest weapon you can use. Like dual wielding, power stancing maces will kill bosses the fastest.
Yeah. On the Video Games Hot Dog podcast, Zach was expressing just bewilderment over the course of I think 3 episodes that the stick that you buy from Valencia is the strongest weapon that you can get for a good long while that does more damage, and specifically because of that. Because of this different types of damage thing. So for me, like when I run into an enemy where my weapon isn't doing much, I immediately think, oh, this isn't an enemy I'm supposed to fight right now. Even though I know that's not the case. Like it never makes enough of a point to differentiate the two types of damage. And so like switch to a thrusting or switch to a so-and-so doesn't like occur to me as quickly as it ought to, given the fact that I played so many of these games.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that other elements of the game design support having kind of that style. So, like being able to switch between 3 weapons and the weapon durability system, both lend themselves to having like a backup weapon. Like I think you're meant to, and you can get something to its ultimate upgrade quicker at +10 rather than +15.
Yeah.
Like I think the idea is that you're supposed to have kind of an alternate weapon for different situations. Like I'm not saying that you're wrong or that they actually do underline it more, but it is definitely something that's supported by the body of the game, I think.
I think that there are a lot of like beefs you could have with the interface. Like, I don't know, it's kind of lost to me when I look at that screen, like what kind of damage this thing does.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I have to hit select to know. I just kind of feel it out. Like, oh, I'm not doing any damage to this thing. The way they do really underline it is in the Shaded Woods with those magic resistant Rasta lions. Like those things are, that's a precipice that you're, a brick wall that you run straight into.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. Even though, like, since you can beat it with any weapon, sometimes it's just not that fun to use, like a big clubby weapon. Like I'd rather use something else, so that's okay too.
There's some people that swear by their giant club.
The giant club is great. That was one of the best weapons in Dark Souls 1 too.
Yeah.
The most fun two-handed build I had was with the giant club. And I didn't actually beat the game. I just got up to where I could do dual wield the giant club and the large club, just to see it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun.
Huh. I would be too distracted by like anything clipping through the giant club.
Everything clips through the giant club.
Yeah.
It is a constant clip.
Yeah. It's like walking around with the Xanthus hat on your arm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for your errata and corrections and such questions. Moving on to responses about the Lost Bastille. Mandy says via contact, I have to say that the Bastille is among my favorite areas in the game, simply because of its massive size, along with the way that you eventually see how the rest of its bonfires connect to one another. I was really hoping that more of the game's area had a similar design behind them, because going through this area gives you that nice feeling of discovering how certain places are connected, and that's something a lot of us miss from the original game. Design woes aside, I can't help but get the feeling that they were trying to evoke a similar atmosphere to Demon Souls' Latria in the Bastille. From simple observation, you could already tell that the place was used for more than just a prison. You have exploding undead mummies locked up in ash-filled caskets with faces resembling a giant's, and a whole lot of personnel to make sure no one gets out. Maybe it's just me, but there's a creeping feeling of dread that this place gives off that Aldia's Keep certainly couldn't. I got all kinds of dread from Aldia's Keep.
Yeah.
I will brook no shit talk of Aldia's Keep. That's probably my favorite area in the game. Mm-hmm. Just, atmosphere and lore and how it looks and everything.
Yeah. And speaking specifically of those casket/urn kind of things that look like giants' faces, this is the first time we've encountered them in the game so far, right?
Yes.
Except for the couple that are sitting right outside the pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The caskets, urns that look like giants' faces. What? Maybe I'm missing what you're talking about.
Yeah, the ones that look kind of like bowling pins. That
the spitters.
Yeah, but specifically in Lost Bastille, there are things that look like the spitters, but they're bigger and they have cages, in the belly of them that look like the statue that the Rotten is making.
Yeah, they look like the giant Grimace thing from McDonald's Playland. Like if you go to a McDonald's Playland and get inside a Grimace, it's one of those. And you just rock that shit back and forth. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they pop up here. Given that design is so prevalent throughout the game, and I think that it has links to both Aldia and the Rotten, I'm not quite sure what to ascribe to it, but any time they pop up, I think we should point it out.
And Pharos.
Oh, yeah, true.
I was thinking that Curse Pots would be the channeler of this season, but maybe it's those things.
Yeah. Well, the Curse Pots kind of come across like Pharaoh's things too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I will break out the cards and yarn, Gary.
Yeah. Yep.
Boil up some Mountain Dew. It's going to be a long night. So David says via the contact form, learning how to fight against superior numbers is the lesson of the day in the Lost Bastille. Dogs, crazy mummies with polearms, and mobs of knights are all waiting to gang up on you, and finding a 1v1 fight is rare. It was much harder for my melee build, but mastering the area provided me with that warm, fuzzy feeling that the Souls game can give me when you do it right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much to add to that, but we definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a lot of 3-on-1 fights and stuff in the Forest of Fallen Giants as well.
True.
They're just tougher here.
Mm-hmm.
Tim says via contact, my most memorable moment in the Lost Bastille came after beating the Ruin Sentinels. After resting at the bonfire, I followed the ladder down and used a Pharos Lockstone. Not knowing what was behind the new door, I stepped through and a gray fog gate immediately popped up behind me, followed by an invasion message. And then a second invasion message. I sat on that tiny bridge watching 2 invaders through the cracks in the door. Before I could do anything, the door exploded in a fireball, and I was quickly knocked off the edge by my invader. Samsara. All I can think about was how much Kole has been trying to avoid saying Cycle of Samsara. Sorry to bring it back up, Soul. Cycle of Samsara.
You just called me Soul.
Yeah. Well, man, I've got some mush mouth going on. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding saying it under duress.
Yeah, I'm making him do that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear it anymore. Only under the threat that it will never show up in show notes again.
Yeah,
so just there's no point in saying it if it's not going to be documented.
Exactly.
And it will never show up in show notes again. We could do a podcast about the Cycle of Samsara, and it will never show up.
It wouldn't even show up. It would just be redacted from the iTunes listing.
Yeah, it'll just be like listening to John Cage's
433.
Yeah, 433 over and over and over.
But you're probably going to put a link to 433 in there.
Yeah, which I would do anyway.
Yeah.
Because that gets a link.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's funny. I like funny invasion stories.
I do too.
That you hadn't even had a chance to open the door.
Yeah, that's great.
Which I would have thought that you wouldn't be able to trigger that if you weren't in the Belfry proper, but
no, the bridge is the place.
Huh.
There's a guy who does on YouTube who does weapon showcases called Mr. I Won't Forget. And that's his place of choice for doing those. He tends to be on the bridge a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And
Cool. Jeffrey says via contact, this is one of my favorite areas in the game so far. From the environmental gameplay mechanics, knocking over barrels to kill enemies, or open the way to bonfires, having to light the torch for Macduff, to the interconnected feel that brings Dark Souls 1 to mind. For blowing my mind when Strayed pretty much refers to the Witch of Islith by name. The gargoyles returning in Belfry Luna. Getting friend-zoned by Luca 2. Yeah, it really is in for a penny and for a pound, isn't it?
Yeah.
Friend-zoned.
Friend-zoned for the win.
I wonder if you'll mention what I thought when playing this area. This is either the Undead Parish or Sen's Fortress. Even has the same shortcut cage elevator, or the Undead Asylum based on Strayed's comments.
I disagree, friend.
Yeah, I don't know
like
if
the asylum had totally different geography and everything. They just both have the same function, but they're like the asylum wasn't next. It was on a mountain instead of on an ocean, and you know.
Yeah, and those elevators pop up later too,
and they're different.
Yeah,
in a real creepy way. Like the
more
these
contoured.
Ones, they're way more contoured, and you cross like the way you cross your arms over and like have to hold your head stock still. Like I love the elevators in Dark Souls too, but they're pretty different.
Yeah, but you know, I think that there are no such thing as bad ideas.
No, there's not. Sorry to just jump on your shit.
No.
Jeffrey. Yeah,
I wasn't even saying like, I wasn't playing good cop. It's just kind of like, like him saying that made me think like, is there like flavors of Parish? There's an area later that I definitely thought was the Parish, but Sen's I'm not sure, and it's obviously meant to evoke the Undead Asylum, so I can't blame you for that either. So yeah.
I always don't think it's necessarily the same thing. Like the idea of different kingdoms dealing with undead in the same way totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Jfish via contact says, "Welcome to the wonderful land of you are definitely summoning for this boss. The Ruin Sentinels, while skippable, are pound for pound the toughest bosses in the game, based on when they make their appearance. I'm sure some players went bankrupt on effigies, while others decided to go level or explore elsewhere after tangling ass." I heard that expression. After tangling ass with this trio of dick bags for the first time. When I was finally tough and savvy enough to solo them, it was among my most satisfying kills in the game. As far as levels go, there's a lot to see and some interesting lore scattered about. Unfortunately, annoying blacksmith number 2 shows up and semi-ruins the party. No pun intended. I do not think the Ruin Sentinels are that... Like, I think they're tough, but they don't... I didn't have that big of a hard time with them.
I think that if I wasn't playing it on a crunch, I probably would have walked away from it for a while, for longer than I did.
Or go ahead, I'm sorry.
This might have been still in my first day of play, too.
This was Nick's stopping point for a long time. Nick from Check It Out Comrade. Yeah. He had a real hard time with them. And they are tough, but I just didn't have that much... it just wasn't... there were bosses that definitely were more of a roadblock for me.
Something I didn't bring up, do you think, like, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be like Illusory Wall or something, but do you think there's different AI routines for the different Sentinels, aside
That'd
from
be very interesting.
Which ones will jump? Is it like a more subtle Inky Blinky Clyde kind of thing?
That would be cool. I think that, if I had to guess, I would say no based on how often they perfectly sync up.
Yeah.
Which is amazing when they do the spin.
Yep.
And they're just doing this like synchronized dance move for you, but
it makes
it's really
it creepier.
Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex says via the contact form, doing the Ruin Sentinels solo as a pure melee character who didn't know about maces was the cause of more deaths than any other singular event in the game. I'll have to look at my journal, but I'm sure it fell somewhere around 30 attempts. The chemical that my brain released on the 31st attempt is the reason why Souls is the greatest. There's something that my grandpa who's passed away on my dad's side, and on my dad says it too whenever we go golfing. Just going out there like, oh, you'll just be kicking up sod, every other shot, but then there's this one that's just like ping, and it goes and goes and goes like the wind took it. And like whenever that happens, what they'll say is, that's the one that keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
That's the chemical.
Yeah, it's a good chemical. And I also in the last response I was talking about how this boss wasn't that hard. And during Whipfest, this did take me a bunch of tries. Yeah. It is very hard to fight him with a low penetration weapon like a whip.
Yeah.
So I did have to come back and be a lot stronger. So depending on your weapon loadout, I could definitely see this being a lot harder than it ended up being for me. I think on my first playthrough, I don't think I was using a blunt weapon, but I wasn't using something particularly shitty either.
Yeah.
I think I was using like a battle axe or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, Alex. Zachary says, via contact. What I enjoyed about the Macduff bonfire in the Lost Bastille, aside from the little puzzle to open it, was being summoned as a phantom and then checking to see if the torch in the room was lit. It's nice to be able to light the torch for your host and get Macduff off his duff, even if the host reaction is going to be delayed until they go to the bonfire next, which may end up being fairly quickly if they try and go for the absolutely crazy shortcut to the boss, which is that hidden door thing.
So when I was prepping for this, I was like, which shortcut? Like, are they talking about just making the run for the ladder? No, they're talking about a literal leap of faith.
It is the worst shortcut, the hardest shortcut. I like I said, I did not. I had to ask somebody on YouTube how to get them to move off the chest. Like, I'd never figured it out on my own.
That's a nice.
I think it's because the sconce looks a little bit different. Torch, places where you can light torches don't always look the same, and it blend into the background for me.
Yeah. That's a pretty good hammer too. Speaking of blunt weapons.
Yeah. They've got pretty steep requirements, though. I think it's 20 strength.
Yeah.
Which is not insignificant.
Right. You have to be a strength spec to really realistically get that.
Yep.
Yeah. So Matt, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm so sorry, Matt. But Matt Vonderveeg via Facebook says, I love the concept of this area. I'm a bell bro, but I also enjoy being summoned to help someone through, as well as going through myself. Being able to take on 2 phantoms by myself, outsmarting them, and taking on the gargoyles is a great experience.
Indeed.
Yeah. That was my experience with this time. I felt really good that I didn't die to any of the bosses. It was all one try.
Yeah. That is always a fun. That's a fun feel. Mm-hmm. One try for the win. Harry Simpson says via Facebook, Belfry Luna seems pretty easy to explain from a lore perspective. Obviously, the bell represents the king's dinner bell, and all the bell keepers are gluten-free vegans who have been paid by Nashandra to keep the masses in gluten-free vegan hell. By denying these essential nutrients and flavors, she's hoping to weaken the player's spirit and further hollow him/her. Now, another thing to consider is the lack of a health food store or even a place to buy vitamins in Drangleic. Another plot of Nashandra's to push her gluten-free vegan agenda even further. Anyways, if you can make it past the snack keepers and you're able to ring the king's dinner bell, you awaken the spirits of cheese, milk, honey, steak, pizza, and the spirit of pure flavor. They have been bound to the bodies of stone gargoyles and have hollowed to the point of no return. Nashandra warped their delicious minds in the days of yore to hate all celiac kind. The biggest letdown of the entire area is when you finish off the last gargoyle and walk through the door. After all the troubles and hardships, you learn that all of the snacks have been shipped off to the Dragon Riders. Those fat fucks. Fun area, great boss design, great lore. It is a pretty small area, but they pack enough action into such a small space that I think it can be forgiven. 9 out of 10 would snack again.
Yeah. I don't know. I like goofy stuff. That was worth it for the spirit of pure flavor, which I imagine being like a cigarette.
I like the idea of the gargoyles being hollow, and I imagine them as like hollowed out chocolate gargoyles, which I would buy.
And when you hit them with a mace instead of going boing, it goes crunch.
Yeah, they just crumble in on themselves like you always did to rabbits.
Yeah,
hollow rabbits.
Oh man, that's a very early lesson in disappointment, I think.
Oh, like a hollow chocolate?
Yeah,
bunny?
the hollow chocolate. Like,
it's an early lesson in disappointment, but it's a nice measure of how you change as a person.
Oh, true.
Because now, I don't need an entire rabbit of chocolate.
Right.
Like, rabbit should not be a unit of measurement for milk chocolate.
True.
Like a rabbit worth.
Yeah, but it was like Easter. It was at church in the basement, and there was like a bingo thing or like a little contest that I won in Sunday school. I was like, I'll take the rabbit, awesome! Mm-hmm. And I would take a bite off the ears because obviously you bite the ears off first, and I think I bit my tongue or just it snapped closed too quickly. I was like, no, why has God forsaken me? No, I'm an atheist. Deal with it. Yeah. No, but Robin Gilmore says via Facebook, I found this area impossibly easy. I was so relaxed throughout, and I can't understand why so many had issues. How could they? The Sentinels were a breeze. 1-hit kills, victory on the first try. Those exploding zombie things, a mere bagatelle. I don't know what that word is, but I'll say it.
I don't know either.
They never blew up in my face. Ever. And as for Belfry Luna, what's the big deal? I was never invaded by ganking overpowered shitheads and dispatch the How many was it? 10, 12 gargoyles with my eyes shut, all while fat rolling using only my bare and unbuffed fist. Dark Souls is getting too easy, I swear. Kids these days. Jesus Christ, where's the Xanax?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, goofing around.
just funning.
Good goofing.
Yeah.
Good goofing, Robin. So thank you for the goofing.
Yep.
We also have some kind of leftovers from No Man's Wharf. Andy says via contact, I think there is some neat unspoken lore in the ways that the Hollow in No Man's Wharf uses the Hollows in No Man's Wharf use fire as a weapon. One can imagine what it must have been like to be the first group to come into this cave and be tasked with building a dock, only to have your numbers drop due to constant Darkstalker attacks. They learn the Darkstalker's weakness, post up archers with fire, and to ensure the archers have a large target, and will make it a big enough fire that the guys on the ground carry around oil to throw at whatever needs to be shot. Pharaohs comes by and installs a big gaudy crystal chandelier, and the Darkstalkers all retreat to nice, dark, now uninhabited corners of the wharf that the light can't reach. Everyone stays on their side of the line just swimmingly until you, with your lofty goals of becoming the king of the Hollows, or was it something else? Seek, I forget now. But you come in with your big dome sword and ruin the whole peaceful system. All the while, those guys were just trying to take a nap.
It's been 0 hours since a Darkstalker attack.
Yeah, 1D, 0 hours. Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Like the idea of them not being like, for some reason, I definitely got the like beast of burden or pack animal impression, but I didn't have anything to base that on.
Yeah,
like I thought they lived in some kind of grotesque harmony. Mm-hmm. Mostly because if they didn't, I would move. you don't live in a place that has those things.
Yeah.
If there's one of those in my bathroom right now, I'm going to move.
Yeah, at least call the police.
Yeah.
call Demon Control.
Yeah.
Which sounds like the best anime.
Yeah, it's definitely a anime. If there's one of those in my bathroom and a Bart Simpson at the end of my bed, you won't see me for the next episode.
No.
Done.
Holy crap, you're referencing like 2 weeks in the future, Gary.
That's true.
No, wait, it's concurrent. You're referencing 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But Emily says via the contact form, Lucatiel's appearance in No Man's Wharf is the first of a recurring visual motif of masked women. This motif will repeat itself several times as we progress through the game, and it all leads up to an important insight about a certain spoiler. One thing that I love about From's storytelling style is the use of subtle visual and thematic cues like this to clue us in about the otherwise convoluted storyline. If you pay close attention to these subtleties, they offer deep insights about the world. Maybe more of us would have guessed the possibility that Ornstein was an illusion in Orlando if we had been paying more attention to the illusion is better than reality theme in Dark Souls 1. Is that theme introduced before you fight Ornstein, or is that more of like a oh shit moment, like a Shyamalan, boom?
In Dark Souls 1, other than Gwendolyn?
Yeah.
It's that's the biggest thing of it. I think you can make the argument that the kindling the fire in a weird way is kind of an expression of that too.
And the whole Witch of Izalith trying to relight it or create
make a fake
own
version. Yeah. You can't make a fake version of reality. You can't fight against a tide of such.
Seath too.
Yeah,
trying
Seath.
to. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Nito not doing anything.
Yeah, Nito being the most passive.
Yeah.
Even though out of all the Dark Souls 1 lore videos that came out, the Nito ones are some of my favorites because they're really conjecture-y and really interesting. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about it more, but just bringing up that motif of masked women at some point, and we'll start talking about it maybe in a month or so. Talk about the weird, I don't necessarily like in Dark Souls 2 how ladies are always the villains. You notice that? There's an evil woman theme with Nishandra, and then with Mitha, and then with the Lost Sinner. There's just kind of this weird, and then the Duke's Dear Freya. There's a weird kind of controlling evil woman behind a powerful man.
It'd be really, really hard to call Freya a woman. I know she's technically female because she lays eggs, but that is a very animistic approach.
No, it is. Yeah. But I'm just with every other kind of example.
Yeah.
A big monstrous lady behind an ineffectual.
It's Lady Macbeth, right?
Yeah, it just happens a lot.
Yeah. That's a little gross. I liked in Dark Souls 1 how it was, the corrupt, overambitious king. You know? Or his effeminate son.
You get some of that there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
his effeminate son. But yeah.
Indeed. Favorite CCR song. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. If you have things to say about Huntsman's Cups, or even about the Lost Bastille, or about just funnin', you can do so at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yep. Our door is open. And if you wrote in and something didn't get in, it's because we're just trying to manage the length of these things. Know that we read it, and it's kind of like saved away for a rainy day, for a time when it is really relevant to what we're talking about. So do not despair. It did get through. I really appreciate the input. It's just a matter of assembling the the list here. Yeah,
yeah. Or it was about Sinner's Rise.
Yeah,
which we're not talking about this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and as we mentioned, you'll see us next episode when we'll be joined by Allison, and, who runs the Lego Dark Souls blog, Tumblr blog. And there's some, what other admin stuff can they do?
Oh, I mean, Phil wasn't able to stick around, but I'd like to thank him again for appearing last week. Phil Collar on Polygon.com or at Phil Collar on Twitter.
Yeah, or at Twitch.tv/StreamFriends is his streaming group. So thank you very much, Phil.
Other than that, you can leave us an iTunes rating or review. We were very active when Dark Souls 2 came out, and they fell off a little bit. That is very helpful in kind of intangible ways to help more people find out about us. I know we say it in passing usually every episode, but I want to underline it right here. Like, if you're a new listener who's picked up after the PC version of the game came out, that is something that you can do to definitely support us, and it's free as long as you use iTunes.
Yeah, which is only cost.
A credit card number.
Yeah, frustration bucks.
It just costs minutes of your life.
Yeah, that you'll never get back.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you can check out other shows at Duckfeed.tv. If you want to support us financially, you can go to Duckfeed.tv/tipjar. And, at that point, you can also find a link to our Patreon page. There, it's patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. And that's really appreciated. It's a way to monetarily support the show, and you get access to cool stuff.
So thank you to everybody who has done that. And if you haven't done that, take a look at the prizes that we offer. Prizes, rewards, incentives, whatever, any of these words that are all
you can get some cool spider
rings.
And novelty combs.
Yeah, Tootsie Roller mustache comb.
Yeah, which one will you choose?
Yeah.
One of them you can actually use. Which one do you choose? When I was young, I never wanted the candy, but then now that I'm older, I realize, this little guy with a parachute's just going to end up in a landfill.
Yeah.
So...
But yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah. So stay tuned for some brief deleted scenes.
Umbasa. What do you normally stream?
I have a big group of friends. We have a channel. We actually just call it Stream Friends, and we all take turns streaming on there whenever we feel like it, and then hanging out on Skype with each other while we stream. Yeah. But we have a wide range of interests, so we kind of play a little bit of everything. I'm actually, right now the main thing that I'm streaming is my new playthrough of Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
So you play a little bit of everything though.
Have you switched over to the PC version?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I waited to stream until I got the PC version because I was that was kind of I played the console version for review, and then I was like, the PC version will be streaming will be my excuse to replay it on PC, basically.
Yeah.
You didn't want to edit out if you put them up on YouTube, edit out 6 seconds of load times. Every single time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for sure, and it's beautiful. That's the other thing.
It's so and that's I'm not a huge frame rate guy. I'm not the type of guy to be upset that a game isn't 60 frames per second. But man, starting up Dark Souls 2 on PC and just realizing how smooth it feels running at 60 frames per second. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's like playing an HD remake of a game that just came out 2 months ago.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I'm going to sing some barbershop quartet tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
For work.
Oh. Huh.
we do award presentations, and it's become a game of one-upsmanship to make them as goofy as possible.
Do what presentations?
Like award presentations, like
okay.
recognizing people, and there's going to be a surprise barbershop performance, and a long ongoing game of one-upsmanship. So
yeah, have you practiced?
Yep, we've rehearsed in a stairwell. We're trying to keep it secret. Yeah,
cool. What song are you doing?
We're doing a brief medley between Honey, Bless Your Heart, and Little Lies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
it's like Little Lies, Tell Me Sweet Little Lies?
It's like Little Lies, I love you, Little Lies, I love you, love you.
Oh, Little Eyes.
Yeah, as in almost like Little Liza, like Little Eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we've customized the lyrics.
To be about your coworkers.
To be about the coworker.
Because you're a fucking dork.
It wasn't my idea. I was brought into it. I know I'm a fucking dork.
I know that we had some beef earlier, so I should, it might be the no tea zone.
No, it's fine.
That is the dorkiest thing I've ever in my life.
Well, I know, which is why I'm taking delight in it. Like, we can totally own it.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's great. And just it came out of just a conversation. It's like, oh yeah, I used to do a cappella and stuff back in high school or something, when there was competitions and things. It's like, oh, that'd be fun to do again. Whatever. And then just getting an email saying you've been invited. We need a bass. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
That's funny.
It is dorky, and that's exactly why I like it.
That's very funny.
Yeah. So. That is that I've been looking for. That I've been so stressed out this week that has been my light at the end of the tunnel. Fuck yeah, I get to sing. Cool. Let's do the ad read.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I need to buy that Trail of Cthulhu bundle.
Yeah, I need to do that too. Trial. Or no, it is
That's
Trail.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Whoops.
Either
Trial
works,
of
actually.
Cthulhu would be totally man, I should run that. Your Honor.
That's an expansion for Devil's Attorney.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I wish that was an expansion for Devil's Attorney. Make an expansion for Devil's Attorney. That game is so good.
Yeah.